Guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. So today we're going to talk about most versatile epic champions in the game. These are champions that you guys, if you pull them, congratulations, because they're good almost everywhere. I've identified 10 epic champions that are good in every single part of the game, whether a campaign or a clan boss or specific dungeons, Fire Knight, Ice Golem, Dragon's Lair, except for one. So some of these champions are good everywhere, about 4 or 5 of them, and I'll let you guys know as we go down the list. And then the rest of them, the other 4 or 5 champions that I have, 6 champions that I have, are going to be good in everywhere except for one area, because there's just not that many champions in this game who are good everywhere. So let's go ahead and just jump into it with probably the obvious first choice. That's right, it's Tyrell. A lot of people say that Tyrell is the best epic champion in the game. I can't disagree, however, he's not my personal favorite. My personal favorite we'll cover in just a moment, but Tyrell is a beast, and he's good. Well, he's one of those champions that's good everywhere. As you guys can see, he's really good even in Fire Knight, you know, because he just does such a good job at debuffing the enemy's team, both their attack on bosses especially, and of course their defense, and he has a pretty good A3 as well. So talking about his kit, one enemy 2 times, again, serviceable for Fire Knight, not OP, but serviceable, and the rest of his kit really adds that extra utility that you're looking for in an all-around beast mode champion. Damage based on defense, by the way, as well on Tyrell, so you can build him with just really, really high defense. So decrease attack on his A1, that's great. Put him on a clan boss team with a counterattack champion, you're going to have decrease attack up the entire battle. Attacks all enemies AoE on the A2, and then has a 75% chance, 100% chance when booked, of decreased defense for 2 turns. If the target is under decreased attack, it will also place a sleep debuff for 1 turn. Helps a little bit with the CC, especially when you're not on auto attack, but still doing damage. Decreased defense, strong version on the AoE, really solid 100% chance on the A2, and then one enemy decreases the target's turn meter by 50%. If the target's turn meter is depleted fully, it will place a stun debuff for 2 turns. Damage inflicted is proportional to defense, and this one actually hits pretty hard too. So he has all that versatility. This makes him usable in the arena, as well as obviously on the A2 as part of kind of a nuking team. Tyrell has just incredible versatility everywhere inside the entire game, and then you add his aura, increase ally defense in all battles by 25%. You can run him as team lead, and most people who have Tyrell run him as their team lead in almost every dungeon. So Tyrell definitely deserving of the #1 spot on the list. So my personal favorite, guys, is Miscreated Monster. Miscreated Monster is, I just love him. I love his kit. He is just insane. He's another champion who's really good pretty much everywhere in the game. You can make an argument that endgame clan boss, not so much, but some teams run him because of his shield ability is just so insane, and he has ally protect. His kit is awesome. Has a stun and a chance at a decreased defense on his A1. Every single one of his abilities is great, okay? On his A2, AoE attack, he puts out decent damage too. Not OP damage, but right kind of middle of the road in terms of the scaling on, damage scaling on all his abilities, okay? Attacks all enemies, has a chance of placing that stun as well, placed a shield, and this is an insane shield. He is an amazing support in Spider, because all of that damage going on, the shield is based on all the damage he deals. So all those Spiderlings get damage from him, and the Spider Mother, and that all equals 25% of that. Well, all of that, 25% is his shield. It's an insane shield ability. Second, really, only to Valkyrie in the game, maybe Sir Nicholas as well. It's alive on his A3, heals his champion, well, 50% ally protection buff on all allies except his champion for 3 turns, and then heals his champion by 50% of his max HP, and then plays a 15% continuous heal buff on this champion for 3 turns. So he can really take in 50% of the damage of your entire team and just soak up that damage while healing himself 50% of his max HP, and then adding the continuous heals on top of that, all on a 4-turn cooldown when booked. And his passive places a fear debuff on the attacker for 1 turn whenever an ally is attacked while under his ally protection. Wow, what a kit, right? I mean, you compare his kit and then has HP in the arena by 33%. Not incredibly used, but still not bad if you have nothing else. Usually looking for speed in the arena. But yeah, Miscreated Monster is You can see why he's my fave, right, guys? He is just insane. When you put his kit next to Tyrell's, they're so different, but they stand kind of side by side. Miscreated Monster is an S-tier support, and Tyrell is an S-tier kind of defense down debuffer on your team, with both have incredible versatile overall kind of abilities for any dungeon, for campaign, anywhere. I'm going to stop rambling on about Miscreated. Let's go to the next one on the list. Next up is Palter Sentinel. She is the only epic on this list that I actually don't own, and boy do I wish I did, because look at that shield, by the way. Wow, that's just great imagery. Like, I love the art that they do on these champions. Anyway, she is great everywhere in the game except for Fire Knight, so you can use her anywhere else. Let's take a look at her kit here. The Sword of Withering, or A1, attacks one enemy. All her damage, again, based on defense here, well, all her damage only being on her A1. Take that into consideration, but still, that's what we like to see. Has the chance of placing the decreased attack debuff, the strong version, on the A1, just like Tyrell. It's awesome to have the decreased attack on the A1. It makes her clan boss viable as well. And then on the A2, places a 60% increased defense and a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. That's really nice to have the block debuffs on there as well. Good for support and sustainability. Those are only 2 active skills. And then her passive has a 25% chance, can be booked all the way up to 50%. This is her money ability, obviously, guys. This is what makes her amazing. Has a 50% chance when booked of completely blocking incoming damage when an ally is attacked. Occurs once per turn. What? That's a sick ability, and she's just so good because of the Untouched by Death ability. And then last but not least, increase ally defense in all battles by 25%, just like Tyrell. So if you don't have Tyrell, she's an awesome champion to give you that lead defense aura for problems that you're having at kind of sticking points in dungeons. You can't beat, you know, whatever, Ice Golem 18, go ahead and sub her in. She's great for support as well. And just that damage mitigation is incredible with the increased defense. She's a great support champion. Next up is Madame Cerise, or Madame Ceres, however you want to pronounce it. She is one of the champions I talked about who is good everywhere in the game. Namely, well, I was going to say namely Arena, but that's where I use her sometimes, but you can use her almost anywhere. She is a beast. She came out in the Halloween update, I think, like last year? Yeah, last year with Miscreated Monster and Harvest Jack, and she is, all those champions were so good. Panic Spread, her kit is, God, I mean, her and Miscreated are up there as 2 of my favorite champions in the entire game. She is Void, so a little bit tougher to come by, but attacks one enemy, 20% chance of the fear, and the chance increases if the target is under 1 or 2 debuffs. And she has debuffs. Boy, does she have debuffs in the rest of her kit. Trick or Treats is her auto ability on Madame Ceres. Attacks all enemies. Has a 40% chance of stealing 1 random buff from each target. That can be booked up to 50%. Places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns if any buff is stolen. Places a True Fear debuff for 1 turn on enemies who have buffs stolen. That's incredible. Get that block debuffs on all allies for 2 turns and the True Fear. It's an amazing ability. And then her Midnight Ritual is insane as well. You get the strong version of decreased attack and decreased defense, all on the 4-turn cooldown when booked on all enemies for 3 turns. Dude, this is what makes her sick in the arena. It removes all buffs from enemies. Remove those shields. Remove those unkillables. Remove those counterattacks. And it does no damage, which is actually what you're looking for, because you can use her along with a crowd control champion to put, say, a sleep debuff. She's not going to break that sleep. She's not going to wake them up. It's a great ability, Midnight Ritual, and then her passive is insane too. Plays a shield buff on this champion equal to 10% of their max HP at the start of each turn. When attacked under a shield buff, she has a 35% chance of placing a fear debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. God, this kit is incredible. Every time I look at it, I'm reminded at how God mode Madame Ceres is. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Next up is Skull Crusher. So Skull Crusher is great everywhere in the game, except for, I guess the only place you're not going to be using Skull Crusher is pretty much the Ice Golem. Ice Golem, he's not really that useful, but everywhere else he's going to be solid. Now he has the heal reduction on the A1. That's going to be helpful in Fire Knight. He's great in Fire Knight, even though he's only a single hitter on his A1. He has counterattack, and that's his money ability. If you guys already know this, Skull Crusher and Valkyrie and Martyr, the only champions in the game who have the counterattack ability. It's great for Fire Knight to get that shield down. It's great for Clan Boss. You can build teams around your Skull Crusher. It's solid for the arena. It's great for campaign. It's great for every other dungeon except for Ice Golem again. So a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns, and then place the counterattack on all allies except for him. However, it does place an unkillable buff on him for 1 turn, helps him stay alive. And then on the passive, decreases the duration of all debuffs on this champion by 1 turn at the start of every turn. Has a resist in faction crypts as well. I don't need to say a lot more about Skull Crusher. I've done a guide on him as well, but he's a great epic champion. If you have him, congratulations, especially if you don't have Valkyrie or Martyr. You have a key piece to a bunch of your teams. Coming up next is one of the two last champions who can be used everywhere in the game and be incredible in that, and it's Mausoleum Mage. He's probably going to be my next champion guy here on the channel, so stay tuned for that later this week, and he is just incredible. He's one of those champions that you have to kind of build out and try before you can fully appreciate his total versatility and how much he makes your team better, right, in terms of a support champion. Attacks 1 enemy, has the decreased speed debuff, really solid, 50% chance when booked on the A1. Then on the A2, Might of Undeath, plays a block debuffs on all allies 1 turn, places a increased crit rate 30%, and then a 60% increased defense on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So 60% increased defense is really solid, and you have it, 2 out of every 3 turns. You build him really fast, and you usually have it outpacing your enemies, especially against bosses, right? And then his A3 is great as well, removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals all allies by 10% of his max HP. That's the stat that you want to have healing based on your max HP, not the other champions. Heals each ally by a further 10% if 1 or more debuffs are removed from that ally. So 20% heal. Now we're talking here. And then it fills each ally's turn meter by 15% if 2 or more debuffs were removed from that ally. Really solid. It makes him versatile pretty much everywhere. Like I said, everywhere in the game. He is just an amazing champion. I can't wait to share him out in action with you guys. Definitely don't sleep on Mausoleum Mage. Next up is the last champion who can be used absolutely everywhere in this game, and she is incredible and I think underrated by some people. High Katoon is an absolute stud in this game. If you need a speed aura, not just for arena, but everywhere, she is one of the few champions that has it. Increases ally speed in all battles by 19%. That's really, really solid. There's not, like I said, there's not a ton of champions, especially epic, that have the speed aura in this game in all battles. Incredible. And then she's all about speed and turn meter manipulation, which is just an incredible kit that she has for it. Attacks 1 enemy, has a 25%, 40% when booked of decreasing speed for 2 turns. And then she has the same ability as Apothecary on the A2. 3-turn cooldown, just like Apothecary, fills the turn meter by 15%, just like Apothecary, and 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Again, just like him. And then, unlike Apothecary, she has an AoE that has a 75% chance when booked of decreasing the turn meter of all the enemies by 15%. That's really, really solid on a 4-turn cooldown as well when booked. High Katoon is an incredible champion. If you have her, you haven't built her up, and you want that speed, you want to see what a really, really kind of S-tier speed champion, especially an epic, has on your team, definitely go ahead and do so. I think a lot of teams would benefit more from her than they would from Apothecary. Granted, she is harder to get. She is an epic while he's a rare, but she's an incredible champion. Next up is Gorgorab. So Gorgorab is a champion that is known for his His usefulness in the arena, he has a speed aura in the arena by 23%, but more so than that, he is used everywhere in the game except for Fire Knight. You don't see him used much in Fire Knight. There's just better champions out there, but everywhere else, including campaign, everywhere, he can be very, very useful. So Misfortune on his A1 attacks one enemy, 50% chance, 75% chance of removing one random buff. That's okay. And then fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% and places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. And then his A3 is revives any dead ally with 25% HP and then heals that ally by an additional 25% on a 5-turn cooldown. You can also book up that heal as well. Get that healing for what, 45% there as well. So really, really solid ability on the animate, and you guys probably know from facing him a lot in the arena, a lot of players use him as their lead for that speed aura and then really take advantage of the A2 and the A3 in the arena teams, but he's also great in dungeons. Okay, I lied, guys. I lied. Stag Knight is also good absolutely everywhere. Another guy with an amazing shield. Look at that shield. Wow. Wow, let's just take a second and wow. We're all in quarantine. We have time to kill, right? Who cares? Anyway, I really love the look of Stag Knight, but Stag Knight is good everywhere as well. He is one of the newest epic champions in the game. He's insane. He has a very basic kit, but it's incredibly, incredibly good. So on the A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each has a 30% chance of placing a decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Love having that decreased speed on the A1, and that can be booked up to, what, 50% chance. On the A2, AoE attack, and then it has a 100% chance when booked, or a 95% chance when booked. Yeah, of placing a 60% decreased defense and a 50% decreased attack buff, debuff, excuse me, for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So having those decreased defense and decreased attack on one skill, Huntmaster, is really, really OP. It's a great ability, one of the strongest in the game for Epic. And then Lead of the Pack places a 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies, excuse me, for 1 turn each time the ally has a debuff resisted by the enemy. That's going to be nice too, especially in dungeons. You get a resist, no big deal. You get that bump of 50% increased accuracy, not 50%. That's pretty solid. So that is Stag Knight. Stag Knight, a lot of you guys probably use him if you have him. He's an amazing champion in this game. So there's probably a bunch of honorable mentions I could go with here in this video because there's a lot of versatile champions out there in the epic category. I will probably repeat this list later in a few weeks for legendary and rares as well, but Thenasil I decided to include because he just has a good kit. Again, the versatility is the theme here, and he's good almost everywhere inside the game. So Thenasil here, you can see people who have him really love him. He is good. Let's see. Attacks one enemy, has a chance of placing the sleep on the A1. Not great, not too bad. But then Oak-Skinned is his money ability. Plays a 60% increased defense on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown when booked, and then heals all allies by 25% of this champion's max HP. You can get that heal up as well, the overall heal amount. And then on the A3, AoE attack, decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn on a 5-turn cooldown. You can use that. That makes him kind of viable in the arena as well. You don't see him in like Plat Arena or anything like that, but Thenasil can certainly be used up till gold 4 even inside the arena, but he can be used everywhere. If you need that extra defense, you can use him in Clan Boss as well. He has an ally resist in dungeons by 70, so, you know, if you want to build kind of a resist team, resist those poisons from the Spiderlings, for example, you can go ahead and use him in the lead if you don't have a better option. Most people do, but overall, just a really solid kit in terms of overall abilities and versatility in the game from Thenasil. And that's going to conclude the list, guys. Let me know who you think I left off the list. I always appreciate your feedback in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you guys are staying safe and healthy out there, thinking about you guys, not just physically, but mentally as well. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.